On a scale from 1 to 10, how ready are you to address your mental health challenges? Now, when I say 1 to 10, I mean 1 being low, like I am not ready at all, 10 being high, like I am ready, so ready, I've already gotten started. So where are you? On a scale from 1 to 10, where are you when it comes to being ready to address your mental health challenges? That's part of what we're going to talk about today. That's what resistance is all about. So many people ask the questions, what is resistance? Why do we have it? And let me tell you a little bit about me first before I answer that question. Let me also tell you about what we are going to be doing here. And then I'll answer that question for you. So it'll be just a few minutes that we will spend together today, and there'll be more. Like, this is the first video in Mental Health Mondays. So I'll tell you first what we're going to do here. Every single week, every single Monday, I'm going to bring you a new video on a mental health challenge. Now, my thought is every resource, every tip, every tool that I have inside of me, I got from somewhere. At this point, I don't even know where I got them all. I've just been collecting them over the years. And I consider that information. And I want to give information for free. I think information should be free. I believe that education is what costs. Now, whether that costs you in time, money, or trouble, life can be hard because of education, right? That hard knock life. I'm saying I'm going to give you all of the information I have. Every single mental health resource, tool, tip that I have is yours if you come and hang out with me here on Mental Health Mondays. And the first one that I want to give you is understanding resistance. And it is going to blow your mind because, especially if you're a therapist, because it's not what you've been told about resistance. This is a completely different way to look at resistance. But before I tell you that, I want to tell you a little bit more about me. So many of you are here because you already know me. I am Kanae Corder, and the MA behind my name means master. I have a master's in mental health counseling, and I am a national certified counselor. So I wanted to make that clear because there are all different kinds of therapists out there, and you may want to know what kind of therapist I am. To me, it really doesn't matter. Why? Because what I do works, and I have thousands of people who have already gone through my program who have healed from their mental health challenges. So I'm not too concerned about the titles as much as I am about the transformation, the impact that I have had. And so the name of my company is Presidential Lifestyle. And Presidential Lifestyle is a mental health company. It's tech enabled. A lot of what we do is virtual and we are international. So that's why you'll sometimes hear me being referred to as the world's number one financial hypnotherapist, because we are an international company, meaning our team is international and our membership is international. So you'll see us all over the world spreading prosperity, because we know that money is the number one cause of stress, whether you have it or not. And we have two types of people that we speak to. We speak to those who have money and then those who are working towards getting more money. And what we find is that that search for money brings you down. It is very stressful. And so part of what you'll see here on this YouTube channel a lot is videos and interviews with people who are on the search for meaning over money. And that's what we do a lot in our work. We help wealthy people turn their money into meaning, and we help people who have been mission driven all of their lives turn their meaning into money, because it doesn't make sense for you to do so much for the world yet still feel broke. And so we know that you can make money while making a difference. And we want to make sure that all the way along the way, your mental health is intact so that you can be at the top of your game personally and professionally. Now, a lot of the people I work with or that we work with in our company are leaders or up and coming leaders. Like, you already become a leader, you're on your way to leadership, or you support a leader. Those are the three types of people that we talk to the most in that order. Now, today we're going to talk about resistance. What is it? Why do we have it? And we want to talk about really the background of resistance. Now, let me just say this. I asked you this question before, but I want to ask you again. On a scale from 1 to 10, how ready are you to address your mental health challenges? Now, I said address. I didn't say change them. Just address them. Just notice them. Can you even do that? Because a question that I ask so often is it okay for you to be okay, even though what happened to you was not okay? And one of my teachers, my very first hypnotherapy teacher, taught me that question. And it changed the way that I do therapy because it really do have to be okay with being okay. Because if you are too attached to your story, that's part of resistance. So resistance is not what you think it is. Resistance, a lot of times, other therapists look at resistance as a bad thing. I don't look at resistance as a bad thing, especially not as a hypnotherapist, because a resistance a lot of times tells me where you feel safe and when you feel unsafe. And the brain may or may not be ready to give up that information. Not exactly that way. I'm going to tell you a story and then I'm going to give you a couple talking points and then I'm going to give you one action item. So, when I first became a therapist, I worked in a mental hospital and there was one patient, and you would call her resistant because she just would not talk. So no matter what I said, she would not talk. No matter what any other therapist said, she would not talk. She just did not want to talk. So one of the things I used to do, the paperwork in this hospital was so redundant. And so every time I filled out this paperwork, I would say to a patient, the questions that I'm going to ask you may become uncomfortable because they repeat. But I guarantee you, I need all of this information. But if at any point it becomes too painful, just stop me. And I said that sentence to this girl. And staring at the floor the whole time that I'm talking to her. And then I say to her, if any point it becomes too painful, he said it wouldn't be painful. And I was like, "Oh my god." Who knew that those would be the words that would get through to her? And then I was quiet and I was just quiet and she said, "He said, 'Look away like you look away from the sun.'" Now, nobody knew that this woman had a psychotic break because she was sexually assaulted because she wouldn't talk. But me saying, "If at any point it becomes too painful, just let me know." Canned words that I said over and over and over again. It was nothing about her to make me say those words, but just those words clicked for her, and her resistance broke away as she was triggered to talk to me. He said it wouldn't be painful. He said, "Look away from him like you look away from the sun." And I said, "Who said that?" And she told me his name. And then from there, we went into a therapy session. But every other therapist that she talked to just said she was resistant. She was resistant. She was resistant. She wasn't resistant. She just didn't have the words. And I tell you that story because when you go to a therapist who is really non judgmental, they're not going to call you resistance. They're just going to help you find the words to describe what you're experiencing. Because what you need to know is how you feel and how you want to feel. Those are the two most important things. Now, as we go through over the next few weeks, I'm going to tell you exactly how to identify that. But I really want you to pay attention because this is the very first Mental Health Monday. And you're gonna see this evolve, like, even in the top little what, left corner, I think it is? Oh, right, no, it's right for you. In the top right corner, there's a little icon, and that icon is gonna go away, but it's there right now. Just in the technology, we're also gonna have guests on here. There's gonna be some evolution in this show. So I want you to to not be resistant to this show evolving. So I bring that up because there is something that you're here for a reason, and you're watching this first. You may be watching this first video as it's airing, and you may be watching it 6 months later. Either way, this is a great place to start, and let me explain to you why. Because the thing that I teach the most is to understand your brain. Now, I am a brain based hypnotherapist. And the reason why I'm a brain based hypnotherapist is because I know that the brain is what keeps you from healing. It's mental health, right? Mental health. Yes, also our emotions are going in there, but a thought creates your mental health. And either it's going to take you to a place that is healthy or it's going to take you to a place that is unhealthy. And you don't understand that you have control over that because you have been programmed. The brain is pliable, it can be programmed, it has already been programmed. 0 to 7 years old, your brain was programmed to do certain things. You didn't know it. It's not your fault, but it is your responsibility now that I just told you that. You have control over it. Now, here is what makes it difficult. Your brain, whether you know it or not, is keeping you stuck. Now, the brain doesn't know that. It thinks it's keeping you safe and alive. The brain likes familiar because way back in caveman days, beginning of time, whatever, the very first person in the first tribe, they knew that they needed to follow the same path if they wanted to stay alive. And the primitive brain, I'm pointing at the back because that's where the primitive brain is, not your conscious brain up here, not your prefrontal cortex, not your conscious brain, but your primitive brain back here is slow to evolve and it's staying stuck. And it's going to keep you trapped in a life that you don't want. And my work here is to get you to make the unfamiliar familiar, because right now your brain is just seeing familiar, familiar, familiar. Even if the familiar thing is bringing you hurt and pain and suffering, it's going to do it over and over and over again. Now, you might have heard that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting a different result. But that is not the definition of insanity. That's actually the definition of humanity. We all do it. We all do the same thing, expecting a different result because the brain wants to keep us safe. It wants to keep us alive. And it's up to us to let the brain know, I want to live, I want to thrive. So let's get unstuck. Now, I'll tell you a little bit more, and then I want to give you an action item. So 0 to 7 years old, you were a great interpreter. I'm sorry, you were a great observer, but you were not a great interpreter. And you just searched the world over, you looked at everything, you took in all of this information, and you made interpretations about it. Now, here's the thing, your 0 to 7-year-old brain was really too young to make these interpretations, but it still did it. And then from 7 to 14, it searched the world over, trying to prove the hypothesis that you came up with because of these observations and interpretations. And the way that the brain works is that the brain searches for familiarity, remember? So the brain is looking for ways to prove the hypothesis, not disprove it. So it collects a lot of data and information that proves the hypothesis from 7 to 14. And then from 14 to 21, now you just live that out and you do it over and over and over again so that you can solidify that hypothesis into a theory that now becomes law. Hmm. And that's why after 21, it becomes very difficult to change your brain, but it's still possible. And that's where hypnotherapy comes in. Now, right around 21 years old, your prefrontal cortex begins to form and solidify, and all of that stuff gets stuck in your brain. And that's why a lot of times around 21 to 24 years old, many mental health challenges come up. And this is when you're breaking away from your family. This is when you are juggling responsibility and freedom. You're so confused. Even you might question your sexuality. All of that is happening to you. None of that is wrong. All of it is right. Explore, question, figure it all out, feel your way through, make mistakes. Part of resistance, the part of the reason why we have resistance is because we don't want to make a mistake. So we do nothing. And that won't work. So I told you about resistance. I told you about safety, your brain wanting to keep you safe, and instead it's keeping you stuck. I told you around 0 to 7, 7 to 14, 14 to 21. And in the beginning, I asked you about your readiness. And the reason why I'm asking you that question is because you're listening to this video for a reason or watching this video for a reason. So, how ready are you? Now, this is my third time asking you that question. Has that number been different or has that number been the same? Did it go down? Did it go up? How ready are you? And when I asked you, is it okay for you to be okay, even though what happened to you was not okay? What did you say? Hmm. Yeah. If you said, yes, it's okay for you to be okay, it's because you truly are ready. You probably said 8, 9, or 10. You might have said 7, but 7 is that like, this is a place where if you're not ready, you could easily slide down to 5, 6 and stop in your growth. 7 is also where if you were kind of ready and things to start working, you see some progress, you could easily go to 8, 9, or 10. But 8, 9, or 10 is where you probably have tried a bunch of things and you are really ready this time. And maybe those things didn't work for you in the past. Maybe you did talk therapy, maybe you did something else, a program, a coach, and this time you're looking for something that really is going to work. That is a great place to be. And let me tell you, you're not alone. You're not alone, but it is not easy trying to do it on your own, which is why I am here. And I have a whole group of people that I'll tell you about later, but a whole community of people that are just like you, who are ready, who are want to be okay no matter what happened to them. And also those who are 7 or below, or let's just say 6 or below, you just might be in love with your story. You just might love your story so much that you're not ready to let it go. And some of that could be programming because misery loves company. You've heard that saying before. So it's easy for you to tell that sad story over and over. And sometimes we're even in competition. Have you ever gone to any kind of like conference or self-development program where everybody wants to tell their story is worse than the other? Oh, but wait, if that happened to you, let me tell you what happened to me. Oh no, mine is even worse than yours. It's like this competition to have a really like horrible story. Well, you don't have to compete with how horrible your story is. What you could talk about is what's going well. What, Kene? What question did you just ask me? What's going well? So that is our action item for today. I want you to start asking yourself and I want you to start asking other people. You know how you see people and you say, "How are you doing?" Do not ask that question because they will feel compelled to tell you how terrible things are. Even people who didn't experience something terrible, but they know somebody who's experienced something terrible, they'll be willing to tell that story. So don't ask anybody how they're doing. Start asking what's going well. And I guarantee you that will change the conversation you have with people. You'll want to hear what they have to say. You'll want to tell them what you have to say. What's going well? You'll feel better when they talk to you. You'll feel better when you talk to them. Have you ever talked to someone and after you got finished talking to them, you almost felt like you needed to take a shower? You just felt dirty, like they just dumped a whole bunch of crap on you? Yeah, because you said, "How are you doing?" And they were like, "Oh, let me tell you, blah, 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 blah." So some people are gonna say, "Well, what if, Kene, what if I'm actually having a bad day?" So freaking what? So what? Forget your little freaking feelings. Though nobody really cares unless you're willing to listen to how bad their day is. Are you? No, because you got your own problems. So stop trying to be as sad and as hurt and as down as you possibly can. Stop it now. Stop trying to complain about your wife or complain about your kids or complain about your job or complain about your clients or complain about your best friend. Stop it now. Okay. As long as we have that established. Now I'm about to wrap this up because I want you to understand what's going well. You may not be able to think of anything right now because maybe you are having a bad day. Here's what you can do. I'm going to give you two little things you can do, two little words. Somebody says, how are you doing? If they don't ask you what's going well, you can say, how's the day going? Or how's business? You can say, unbelievable. So unbelievable could be bad or good. It's I like to say it's progressing. It could be progressing this way or that way, whatever, but it is progressing. Yeah, because maybe your business is not always flourishing and you not always have clients coming in, or maybe your job is not always awesome. But if it is progressing, it is evolving, it's progressing. And that's as low as you should go. Get yourself out of sinking. I'm going to tell you next week how you can change your brain so you're not always thinking about, oh, I'm up, oh, I'm down, oh, I'm up, oh, I'm down. I'm going to give you a really step by step exercise. So, over the next couple weeks, one, I'm going to set the foundation. Okay, so wait, next week, I'm going to set the foundation. And then the week after that, I'm going to give you a step by step process on how you can measure your emotions and keep from going up and down. And then I want to talk to you about your routine, your morning routine, your afternoon routine, your night routine, how to get those really tight and authentic to you, not this cookie cutter stuff they have going out in the world. I want to talk to you about meditation, visualization, and what I call your you formula. So that's going to take us through January and almost through February. And then I have more for you. So if this is your first video and you want more, I'm going to record two more videos that you need to keep. This one is going to be a little longer. The next two will be a little longer, but then I'm going to keep them to about 15, 16 minutes so that you and I can make it brief and short and you can get what you need and then be on your merry way and have an awesome week. Got it? Good. So, two things. Ask yourself what's going well. Answer that without going to the sad side. Just answer it and really think about what's going well in your life. And if you can't think of anything just yet, because I know if you really try, you could, then just go to the progress. I know I said that like I was what, Canadian or something, but I'm not. I'm American, even though we have an international company. So, what's going well? And if you can't find what's going well yet, because I know it's there, then go to the progress. And when you think about the progress, all I want you to think about is it okay for me to be okay? Even though what happened to me in the past was not okay. And the answer to that is yes, it is okay for you to be okay. So I'm going to show you how to let go of your resistance, how to get unstuck. You can feel safe and thrive at the same time. I promise you. And I will see you next week. Thank you so much for joining me. I love you.